Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is Jon Temple. Jon, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to kind of digging into your story, man, learning a little bit more about you. Before we kind of get to that point, I'd like to know who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
Well, the first one that really comes to mind is Franco Colombo. Just seeing his size and stature kind of motivated me at that time when I was younger to get into bodybuilding. Because most of the guys I see in Ronnie, Jay Cutler, and most of the guys in 90 were massive guys. And me at the time was not the biggest kid in the group. And once I seen Pumping Iron, saw Franco and everything he's done, kind of give me more confidence to go for actual bodybuilding. So, and just his shape and structure, and just how he was in life, was always happy, wanted to see other people happy. So, he's one of my favorite because I resonate with all that. There's him, Chris Cormier, just his stage presence, his lifestyle and everything like that, just have a balance of, yeah, it's bodybuilders aren't really supposed to party, but I like how he's that type where he lived a lifestyle, had fun, was a little bit crazy with it, kind of, and same time dominate the stage, which I feel is important to show a balance of life, not to go crazy on one end, but at the same time to be well centered and have a good character about yourself. More modern day, I guess, would be Rafael Brandao and Roman Fritz. Those two guys are just powerhouses. I mean, they work, and you see their structure. They have beautiful size and structure. Yeah, both may have a little bit more work. I mean, I'm not one to talk, but just at how they are and how they are just a force. And I've always been a fan of Animal, and so seeing Roman Fritz and all the guys, Evan Centopani, Frank McGrath, a couple of my favorites as well. Just what they bring to the table, just that do your work, get it done. If it gets heavier, push harder. So that's one I like to resonate with a lot.
Excellent, man. Okay, and I've got to ask you, since you brought up Rafael Brandao, he's competing this weekend in the Olympia. Do you think he's going to get into the top 10, or where do you think he's going to find himself?
And confidently, I think he can make it to, top 5. I see him as my dark horse, just because, you don't see him too much in the news, but when you do, this guy's just making improvement after improvement after improvement. So, if you want to talk about silhouette or size or structure, the guy has it down packed. Yeah, he may not have the size, but conditioning, everything else, I feel like he'd be competitive.
Yeah.
So,
all right, top 5. Now, I was listening yesterday to the Olympia predictions over there on muscular development, and I didn't realize that they said, one of the guys on there said that Brandao's like in like the 250s or maybe even 260s for body weight. Is that true?
I believe it. I didn't catch that one yet, but I can see that. The guy's he's well put together. So I think that with the symmetry he has, it's hard to see that, like, if he's that big or that size, just because everything's so well proportioned. Whereas if a guy has bigger arms or a lower body, you can tell him, like, all right, I see that's where most of the weight lies. But I feel if it's equally proportioned out, it's hard to tell that if they're that big of a size. I say that big mean that's bigger than my weight. So to me, it is bigger. So, but yeah, I can see that.
I was just really surprised, as I didn't realize he was that big. You get in the 250, 260s, like that's legitimate, open men's bodybuilding size. So he could definitely do some damage, because, like you said, he's got the aesthetics, and he's a guy on the rise. So super cool. All right. So why don't you let us know, Jon, at what age you started lifting weights, and then why did you start lifting weights at that specific age?
I would say probably about 15, 16 years old. That's when I really got into weightlifting, that being because I was on the wrestling team in high school. And at that time, that's when I was learning about nutrition, overall physical health in school. And so being wrestling, you have to learn about nutrition, how to keep your body weight down, but at the same time, how to build muscle. And after my first year, that's when I really fell in love with the whole sport, just kind of pushing yourself to limitations. And then one of the things my coach recommended was working out and putting on more size. So I remember that summer, my parents helped me out get a physical trainer, a coach, and just kind of every day we ran through the ropes of bodybuilding type workouts. I didn't know it was bodybuilding at the time, but that was his background. He just said, I need to get size. So the whole nutrition and working out played into my whole wrestling career in high school. And then just learning about the body, just kind of fell in love with it. So I like to say I'm a big science nerd when it comes to that. So just at the end of the day, who's a better guinea pig than yourself? So you get to find out what works, what doesn't work, and just the intricacies of all of that. So it just kind of all tied together and just kind of launched off.
Okay. Very cool, man. Love it. Okay. So let's talk a little bit then, Jon, about your childhood, your upbringing. Why don't you talk about, where you grew up? You mentioned wrestling. Talk about, other sports that you played. Just paint the picture of your childhood for us up to about high school, and then we'll move on from there, please.
Right on. As a kid, my dad always pushed me and my two younger brothers to be active in sports. He believed it built character, just kind of putting yourself in different scenarios with different people, help kind of identify different problems and kind of learn how to solve it as a team or individual. And he just liked us being active because he doesn't want us to be cooped up inside and stuck in front of a screen all day. So looking back at it, it helped a lot. So we started off pretty much, me and my brothers all fell in the same line. We did karate and t-ball, moved into soccer, and pretty much all in the high school was cross country, wrestling, and weightlifting. But he liked the physicality of it all, so he made sure that whatever we stuck to, that we were the best at. So he kept pushing us, always gave us a coach to whatever we're doing, to not only understand the sport, but to learn the technicalities behind it as well. Because once you have a better foundation of it, you feel more comfortable. And once you're comfortable, you feel confident. And so we're always active in life, just either be just tournaments on the weekends, signing up for summer camps for other things. So it was always a everyday activity with something to do. Pretty much born in Jackson. I born in Central America, Honduras. Moved here when I was about 2-3 years old, and just grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. It's been home. I feel it has its ups and downs, but at the end of the day, I love it just because it's where I grew up, has the nostalgia to it, my friends, family, and everything like that. So pretty much I grew up with a bunch of good friends who all were active. So I guess the whole epitome of my whole childhood was always up in adventure, either be going out of town to see new gyms or meet new people, or just signing up for tournaments and stuff, or would it be wrestling or soccer. And that's a quick rundown of just kind of my background, stuff like that. I'm always on the go. You can ask anyone who's about me now. I'm always up to something. So either be trying to progress myself in bodybuilding or just my work life. Yeah.
So how many siblings do you have?
2 younger brothers. We're all 3 years apart. But ironically, I'm the only one who kind of pushes the whole physicality of bodybuilding. My younger two they're more surfer skater type, since we grew up on the beach and everything. So that's what they fell into. And I kind of fell in the opposite. But we have our times where we kind of all get together because they ask me questions of like, hey, how do I eat to do this? Or what do you recommend if I'm hurt here? So it's cool to kind of give that knowledge back that I've learned over the time.
Okay. Now I want to touch on your parents being immigrants to the United States. So why don't you let us know, Jon, what was their reason to come to the US? Was it just, kind of what you typically hear? They just want to better their lives and provide better opportunities for their kids and things like that. Was it another reason? Touch on that for a quick minute, please.
Essentially, so it was for a better life. My dad was actually born in the States. He was in a military family, so he moved around. And one day he joined the Peace Corps, and he was sent down to Central America, Honduras, to help build schools, houses, and kind of help the third world become more developed and just kind of get things going. And he was down there for, I think, close to a year or so. Met my mom down there. They tell me the whole love story, so I hear it a million times. But met down there. They kind of started hanging out, more developed. And then after a while, I popped up. And he was kind of finishing up his tour and stuff down there with the Peace Corps. And at the same time, he was establishing a pool company back in Jacksonville, Florida. And that's where I work now, kind of help manage the family business. And once he got a foundation going, got an establishment for us where we had a home and everything like that, he had us brought up. And my dad, being a government worker for the Peace Corps, allowed us to have citizenship as well. So that being said, once we moved here, it just kind of, they worked hard, kind of started from pretty much nothing when my dad had to start his own business. And now we're here where I help run it. It's a family business, very successful. Lots of ups and downs, but that's what's family and life. So, I mean, it's just seeing his journey, how he got here and started from scratch and made a name for himself kind of motivates me. And not only is like a hero to me, but someone else a guide. Like I can always talk to him, hey, what did you do about this? Or how'd you overcome that? Just mindset ideas. And it's cool with the relationship we have, not only as like best friend, father, son, but also like a mentor, teacher type of deal. And my mom's always been a loving type with me and my brother. She always just wants the best for us. Even though she may not agree with some of the things we've done, she's like, hey, just be the best at it. And if you make it home, we'll have dinner, we'll talk about it. And so it's always a loving family. And they're huge. And one thing I'm very grateful for is that they support my bodybuilding 100%. They make sure I always have my meals, or if we plan a vacation, they help always try to make it manage like, hey, there's a gym down the road or something like this. I've been fortunate enough to where they never missed a show of mine. And we all know how the shows get. Sometimes you drag on a little bit. So, I mean, I really appreciate them staying there and just always traveling with me, always bringing that energy and always keeping me in check of when, like, if I may be slacking or something like that, they're always like, hey, how's your mental game? How's your coach? How's your relationships with stuff? Are you good? Or what can we do to make you better? Because at the end of the day, their overall goal to move in here was to give us a better life any way possible. So I learned a lot of life lessons from that. And it just kind of gave me a characteristics of always give back to when I can, because not everyone's blessed with the opportunities we have.
100% right on that, man. Cool. I love it. Now, let's, first of all, before I forget, what's the name of your guys' business, just so people can hear that?
Temple Inc. I don't know if you can kind of see it right there.
Yep.
Yeah. So we pretty much do new and remodel pools from the South Georgia to about Orlando area. We pretty much do all the big, I don't want to brag about it, but we do about 95% of the pools in this area. And again, it's just motivating from how my dad started from a pool trailer with some plaster guys. So now he has multiple crews, multiple semi trucks, always just hustling. So trying to keep up with him kind of puts my stuff in check. So it's cool business.
Respect it, man. I love and respect entrepreneurship, because it's not easy for sure. So okay, now in terms of school and thoughts of what you wanted to do, like when you were a teenager, because maybe your dream was to work for your dad and continue that family business, but if not, what did you kind of think you wanted to do when you were a teenager, kind of getting towards the end of high school? What were you like as a student? Did you enjoy school? And then once you graduated, how did life kind of unfold?
I love school. I always in the pursuit of knowledge, just trying to better myself. Anything I can learn, I love about it. But at the same time, I wasn't always the best. Just because I was a happy person meant I had a lot of friends, and a lot of friends brought a lot of fun times. Now, being good times, not the most, but hey, we live and learn, and I had a blast doing so. But when I was in high school, I always seen myself in the medical field or something where I was working with the body, be physical therapist or all the way to med school. I'm not too sure where, but that's where I felt like I was the best. And at the same time, I was always working at the family company, be it the summertime or if in school part-time, just kind of keep myself well-rounded, just kind of talking to people, relationships, and just always being around, just trying to help. I went to Bishop Kenny High School out here in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. After there, I graduated. I went to Tallahassee, but my schooling there was limited. College was a crazy time. Got a little out of hand, so it'd be best of like, hey, you know what? I don't think this is going to be for me. Maybe I need to get out of this environment. And that's when I actually started bodybuilding. I stayed on what I call a college regiment, where I worked out Monday through Friday, eight strict, but on the weekends did whatever I wanted. And at the time, I was putting more size on, and I would come home, visit my dad and my mom, and he said, hey, you're keeping up with this working out thing. How about whenever you over winter break or something, I met this bodybuilding coach at the gym, and that happened to be Don Long. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'll give it a try after the semester, see what's going on. One day I was here, me and my dad went to the gym, introduced me, And I was in awe. This guy was massive. He was cool, and I heard of him previously. So actually meeting him in person, I was like, this is a legend. Like, he just hanging out here. Like, wow, this is pretty cool. And so I was kind of at the same time in school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Just I had so much free time in college just because I was always on top of my classes, doing well, but I never felt like it was enough of a challenge. So we speed up a little bit after the first year. Some things happened. I got into a little bit of trouble. So, it'd been best if I put my energy to something else, move back to Jacksonville, kind of working with my family now at the business. My dad's asked me, hey, do you want to try to give that bodybuilding thing a shot? I said, sure. And I remember the first day I met with Don Long. We're in LA Fitness Gym. We're in the back posing room. He's like, get down to your trunks. And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, get down to your underwear. I'm like, this man is asking me to get to my underwear in the middle of the gym. Okay. So I'm down there and I'm like, I look pretty good. He goes, we got a lot of work to do here. I'm like, excuse me? And I remember after that, he's like, follow me. We're going to go to the bathroom. And this man had me parade through the gym in my underwear. And I'm thinking, what is going on from here? And we went to the bathroom. We did some poses. We talked about some options about bodybuilding. And to say the least, I never looked back. As weird as it was one of the best days just to kind of start off the whole bodybuilding. He taught me a lot. And yeah, that's what kind of led me into the bodybuilding. And with the knowledge I had from school about my previous classes of anatomy and physiology and like that, kind of helped me understand working out and more in depth and why we do certain things for nutrition wise and recovery and everything like that. So I felt it kind of helped me have like a jump start into it. And the rest is history.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to get connected with somebody like Don Long in the beginning of your bodybuilding journey / story, like that's kind of that's pretty cool. Now I've got to ask, I'm very curious, what little trouble did you get into, Jon, that you mentioned?
Well, admittedly, I was a partier in school. I was always about having a good time, fun time, whatever it be. I'm there. If we're going to party, let's party all hard. We signed up for a cruise to go down to the Bahamas for a few days, and I just didn't make it on the cruise. Maybe I wasn't allowed on that time, For those who know the story, you live and you learn. But yeah, okay. I wasn't allowed to say.
You were just young and enjoying life, right?
Exactly. And I didn't know better, but hey, again, we live, we learn. I made it through. I can look back and laugh at it now. And if anything, just be a little smarter.
Yeah, right. For sure. We've all been there. I almost got kicked out of college for partying. So, we've a lot of us have been there, done that, and hopefully learned some lessons along the way. So now, before we fully spend the rest of our time in kind of the bodybuilding realm, I want to just finish up kind of with the business talk. So you get introduced to Don Long. That's kind of when your bodybuilding story starts. Now you were kind of, it sounds like, working a little bit on the side, for your dad. When did that kind of become like a full-time gig? And when did you kind of decide, like, within yourself, like, hey, you know what, this is a great opportunity for me, and I'm gonna make this my career?
Absolutely. It was probably about, I'd say, a year after getting into bodybuilding with Don. He was a good mentor, not only for bodybuilding, but life. It's someone I could talk to confidently, who's seen a lot, been at a lot of places, and had a good understanding of being an entrepreneur because he started his own business and stuff like that. And one day he was telling me, we were talking about stuff, and he's like, Jon, why work and spend your time making other people money, making them rich, when you could spend that time investing back in yourself and your family's business? You know the business inside and out. You have a good time. And my biggest thing was I had authoritative issue with my dad. Just kind of like, I thought I knew it all at the time because I was a young buck. So we butted heads a lot. And after I overcame that, just like, you know what, Dad, you're smart. I think you know what's going on here more than I do. It all made sense. Why put my energy into something else that's going to benefit somebody, rather I can benefit my home team, because we all work together, we all grow together, we get stronger together. And once I started kind of talk to my dad about, and my whole family about, I was going to pursue bodybuilding as my main thing, and that just for this whole, like, school wasn't for me. Like, just I was good at it, but at the same time, I just rather challenge myself in my mind. And they're like, if you're going to do this, we got to see you be 100% about it. So if you're going to be about it, talk about it, you got to show us the work. So I told them I was going to get ready for a show my first 6 months. I'm serious about it. And then fast forward, I end up winning that show. They see that I pursued it, did as I said, and they're like, all right, as long as you show up on time, do what you do at work, anything that's related to bodybuilding, you take care of it. So that was pretty much our deal. And it's been what, almost 10 years straight we've been at it. So it's cool kind of see myself grow in bodybuilding and grow in the company itself and how they intertwine with each other. The biggest icebreaker I get is like whenever I meet somebody or associate or something like that, they're always saying, you probably should work out, or you ever touch the gym or anything. Like, it's always a joke. So I'm like, you know what? This is my realm. This is fun. And I love being a people person. So it all intertwines with it at some point, and it's fun. So
yeah, love it, man. That's super cool. All right, now let's get into some nuts and bolts and bodybuilding talk. So you meet Dong Long, and then it sounds like you started prepping for your first competition pretty quick after meeting him. So why don't you walk us through kind of some of the things that Don taught you, talk about your first competition, and we'll just kind of continue to move forward in that direction.
Mm-hmm. So the first show we did was about 6 months after we met. It was the Jack's Physique show, no longer around. And we did men's physique. He thought it was best for me to learn the simple posing and get the stage presence and just kind of be thrown to the wolves. And one thing I remember Don was big about was touch-ups. Always do your touch-ups after you work out. So whatever we did, we always had a little mini workout at the end just to kind of keep the blood in the muscle, keep it alive, and keep it going throughout the week. You don't have to overwork it, but just keep it stimulated. Working with Don Long, I also had a trainer of George State. Me and him worked more hands-on. They worked together at the time, but that was years ago. And just we're us three working together, it was like a crash course, how to build muscle, how to work muscle, and just kind of stay healthy at the same time. Every day was a war. I remember just going in there, not knowing what to expect, and these guys just beat me down. Be 10 sets of 10s of squats, or just endless lunges, endless push-ups, everything. I was like, it got 2 points where I was like, I don't know if I can keep up with these madmen. Like, they're just constantly beating me down. But I think with all that, they're always encouraging me. Hey, you're doing great. Hey, you might not make 10 reps today, but next week you're going to get it. So that always kind of helped me, felt like I was doing good. Just a little reassurance, like, hey, you're doing good. Even though you're not at our level, you're going to get there. You're going to get there. And then next, I ended up being there, and it was cool. And just I remember being on the stage the first time. It was intoxicating, man. Like, just the lights, just the crowd. I didn't know what to expect. But as soon as I remember walking on stage, it was one of the best times of my life. Just grinning, not knowing what to do, just my posing. And after that first show, that's when I really knew. Like, I saw my name on the contract. Like, yeah, I'm ready for life. This is it. And just constantly having a good work ethic with Don, just showing up on time, doing what you're supposed to do, no matter what, and just making it count, kind of just still resonates with me today. Just always put your best foot forward and work hard. It may not be the best day, but if you get something out of it, you're going to get better.
Awesome, man. Now you brought up, I got to touch on this quick too, because this Animal Pack had a really big influence on me when I was younger. Like I think it did on a lot of younger guys back in the early to mid 2000s. So when did you kind of find Animal Pack, just through the magazines and their advertisements, or how did you kind of come across Evan Senapani and Frank McGrath and that crew?
Man, I remember seeing them. One of my best friends in high school, he had older brothers who had all the magazines. So one of the reasons we're at his house, I was always just reading them, just like, dude, look at these massive dudes. They're just giant. And I remember seeing Frank McGrath just in the dungeon, the black and white photos and everything. And I'm like, I don't know what this is about, but I like it. And this is hardcore. And I figured they're always promoting animal, just like to be the animal. Now, I remember walking to GNC one day and asking him, I'm like, I need animal protein, not really knowing about it. And the guy's like, I got you, bro. And I was like, oh, I don't know what this is about. And I learned more about nutrition, just protein, and just Dude, I always loved watching this Frank McGrath, Evan Scandapani, Frank, Frank Hauser or something. I can't remember. I'm drawing a glitch on him.
Eric Finkhauser.
Aaron, that's the dude. Yeah. And just all of them and just the whole epitome they carry, just like the hard workout dungeon, get this shit done, bust your ass, hoodie up. And I always resonated. I thought that was cool just because in wrestling and grappling, all the coaches I've had were all the same. We'd all be in a room. The heat's on. We're busting ass for 2 hours, guys. So just get on the mat and work. And so I was attracted to that. So that's what kind of led me into it more and more and more. And just seeing these freaks, these mass monsters, it just kind of helped me understand, like, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. Just be an animal. And so not only in bodybuilding, but in life itself.
Yeah. Cool, so, man. Yeah. I could talk to people all day long about just, you know, those animal pack ads, like squat till you puke. And it was just, I don't know, man. Like I reminisce a lot on the podcast because a lot of the guys that come on are, you know, they're in their late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, my age. And so they, you know, we grew up with the magazines. It's completely different now, but there's just something about getting like the Muscular Development magazine. It had like 800 pages and like, you know, 500 of those pages were like animal pack ads. And it's just like, it's just, I don't know what it really was, but it kind of like you said, it just really sucked you in and it drew you in. I think it was just it was obviously the muscle, but the masculinity, the kind of that hardcore mentality. And like, I grew up as an athlete. So you just kind of, you automatically resonate with that, right?
Yeah. You just see it and you just know something about it. It's like, it's just hardcore. And like you said, you just see it and you just want to be about it. And that's what I always trust my gut instinct. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna learn about it and I want to do it. And so here we are.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Now, you competed in your first competition. You said you did men's physique. So why don't you just, from after your first competition, Jon, why don't you just unpack the rest of your competition history? When did you kind of transition into competing in bodybuilding? And I believe you competed at North Americans just earlier this year. So why don't you just walk us all the way through up to North Americans this year?
Right on. So I did men's physique for 2 shows. It was Jack's Physique and the Dexter Jackson. And that's kind of getting used to everything, just trying to add more size on, because I mean, going from nothing to that, I had to take my steps. So we did that. I understood it more. And that's when I felt more in love and just kind of started taking it on seriously. The year after, did the Dexter Jackson again, and I did men's physique and classic. Because I was able to do both. So I did both. And as I steadily progressed each size, I kind of grew out of men's physique and grew into classic. I love the whole posing aspect. Posing is one of my favorite things to do. So just the whole intricacy of it, just the art flow and just kind of being one with not only your body, but whatever music you're playing and just kind of showing your art to the world. Like, I mean, because we spend hours beating ourselves down and sculpting a body. You can have the best body, but if you can't present it well, how can you show your best features? So that's one thing I like, is just telling a story with what I have to offer. And that's one of the best things I loved about classic. But as you know, as our height and weight class, you keep growing. You can only cut down so much. So with I'm 5'7", 5'8", so my cutoff was 175. So I kind of grew into that. And I remember doing classic. I did Dexter Jackson for 2 years in a row. I won my classes, but not the overall. So he kept telling me I was doing right. And at the time, I was with Steve Masharbish. He was bringing me up from after me and Don split, because it was getting harder in time in school and stuff like that after I left school. Worked with Steve for a number of years. He taught me a lot, just kind of go from the men's physique aspect to kind of grow into the classic look, kind of help me understand maturing the body and just kind of taking things slow. We did North Americans a couple times, about 2 years in a row. My first time I think I was top 15. It wasn't my best showing, but my first time at nationals, I was just happy to be there, just kind of seeing the ranks and seeing how everything transitions. And after I got a taste of that, that's when we became more competitive. Like, all right, now we understand. Now we got to really work on ourselves. And then we did North Americans. After that, I got 3rd in classic, and not knowing how close I was from being a pro card at the time, I was like, hey, I'm getting better at this time. And it came there at that part. I know I'm kind of like rushing through this. I don't want to drag on. But I remember from that part, we were having a little issue because I was gaining more weight, we're adding more size. So that whole 175 cutoff was getting a little difficult. And we had a show coming up where we like to do team shows at the time. And there was one in Bermuda coming up. So we're like, hey, why not do that? And I did classic, and that was my first time doing a bodybuilding show or bodybuilding class. And man, I don't know if it was being in Bermuda or just the atmosphere I had at the time, or just trying to transition to a bodybuilder and having that thought come in like, wow, I'm in a bodybuilder now because I'm not doing a bodybuilder class. But that point really established. I remember it was like a little milestone, like, hey, I'm a bodybuilder now. So I felt like in myself, like, hey, you made it to the ranks of pushing yourself, staying consistent, where you're big enough now. And at that point, I was going through a little transition in life, just kind of moving around. So I had to take a step back from that, from the whole bodybuilding. I started training and everything like that, but not so much of the competitive field. And once I still got myself reestablished, got myself I guess financially stable again, I started to pursue bodybuilding again because I had to get hernia surgery at the time. It was a mess of one thing after another after another. I had to get hernia surgery, had to sit out, and once I got back into it, that's when I was like, it was like an engaged switch. It's like, all right, now I'm back. I'm really going to make a statement for myself because I've done good. I've built a lot of traction over the years, but now is the time of let's become a real bodybuilder. Me and Steve separated at that time just because I felt like I needed to grow more. We were best friends at the time, but after a while, you just wanted to see change. A change of scenery brings a new mentality and brings new growth. And that's when I transitioned to Alex Pomeroy. We've been friends for years, competed together. And he always helped me when I needed an extra hand or something. And we were talking one day, and he's like, and I asked him, like, hey, Alex, I was going to do nationals in about 14 weeks, North Americans. Do you think you can help prep me? And he's like, you know what, bro? I got you. And to this day, I owe him everything because from that day and to where we came in, for North Americans, my best presentation. We came in 30 pounds heavier than the year before, man. From 160 classic to 190 light heavyweight just blew my mind, and how just staying consistent, working the right methods that fit me at the time just pretty much brought me to where we were. I do miss classic and the whole posing routines and everything like that. But at the end of the day, man, being a bodybuilder is just different. You just have that aggression that you're on stage and just hitting those power moves, just going through the ranks, and to me, I feel different and I love it. So I think I've always gone and done North Americans, and that's where I want to go pro. Alex knows, and everyone I've talked to, that's where I did my first national show. So I think it'd be like completion of the circle if I just got my pro card there. So we're just steadily working for the next year, and just we got some shows in the schedule, but just make sure our health is green light first, because that health is wealth. But once all that's good to go, we're gonna make some big noise next year.
Okay, so the third place at North Americans that you mentioned, that was this year, 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you did, you said light heavyweight class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. All right, now let's get into a little bit more detail then. So from 1 year to the next year, when you stepped on stage in North Americans, you put on 30 pounds. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so talk about what did that, like, obviously getting into the routine and the right nutrition and supplementation and training, but give us a little bit more detail and insight into the regimen that kind of helped you go from point A to point B, and then getting third place at North Americans as a light heavy, which is obviously very impressive.
So the first thing we did was take a look of all the things I've done prior and kind of said, hey, so we see what we did here, maybe we try the opposite. And I remember with Alex, the first plan I got was probably almost 3 times the amount of food I was used to. And I'm like, hey, this show's like we're getting ready for national, we got to build up for that. He's like, yeah. If you believe me, just do it. And I was like, okay. So with him, it was about just feeding the body until we find a good stable plan, like a platform to where we found where the weight stabilizing and kind of seeing how we look good. And just kind of the biggest thing was more rest days, because I believe just going to the gym 6 days a week, beating yourself down and just work. His approach was we did 3 days on, 1 day off. An extra rest day, man, that made a huge difference, not only for the mental stress, just of always the hustle and bustle of going, but just to take a breather, add more naps, add more rest time in. And with that extra time and the allotted food we had, I feel like my body really soaked everything up, just having that time just to kind of breathe and take in, rather than from the whole couple of past years of just work, get in where you fit in. Just taking a slow roll on things kind of was like the best approach, and just kind of going through different styles of what I was used to and kind of just confusing the muscle, confusing the body, just kind of trying different aspects. And once we find a nice groove, things just started taking off. And with his methods, he always believes less is more when it comes to protocols. Overall health is wealth, which I really respect and appreciate. Because I always tell people bodybuilding is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You want to see the end. You want to eventually get out and see your legacy that you left behind. So that's one thing I like a lot. So we're always constantly doing blood work. We're always in communication with my doctors, my specialists. If there's anything we need to do, what can we do in a safe regards to myself, my health, and just keep everything balanced. And I think once we had a better approach of that, it took off a lot of stress of, am I doing things right? Because I have someone I trust to do everything and work with and talk to every day, all day. I feel like taking that stress off allowed me to breathe and just kind of take up more room body-wise.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about training, Jon. So did Alex adjust your training at all when you guys really started working together? Did he kind of let you continue to train the way that you had been training? Like, just talk about that, and then talk about like, what is your training philosophy? What is your training style? What have you found in terms of training works best for your body?
So we did a big major overhaul on everything. So when I came to him, I said, I'm not going to question anything you say, or I'm coming to you as an open book. Whatever you recommend, I'll do it, just so there's no extra factors of like, am I changing a workout? Am I changing a split? Let's see what you have planned out and run it for a few weeks and see where we're at. At first, I wasn't used to having the extra rest day. And I was like, what am I going to do? And he's like, just relax, just breathe and relax. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then with the first 2 weeks, I'm like, yo, this whole extra sleep thing's doing me a lot of good. And just kind of changing up the muscles of like, not just doing a whole back day or whole leg day. Yeah, we'll have our splits. But as we posed together and he saw me more in person and worked, he's like, all right, we need to work on your upper back or your adductors. We found the specific things we needed to work on, and we found things that hit that, but at the same time, the overall muscle. So we found the specifications and detail work, but still getting everything to stay symmetrically balanced. Nowadays, we work out together. We're workout partners. So it's fun that my coach is, again, my mentor and my workout partner, because not only do we get to joke around and have that mental piece, but I always have that back of my mind, hey, that's your coach, so bust your ass, keep working, don't let him see you get tired, don't let him see you get tired, miss that rep. So it keeps me the accountability there, but at the same time, we have the relationship of communication where we talk about what we want to do that day based off how we feel, what we did last week, and what we need to work on. So every workout essentially changes just to fit ourselves better. Be it that we do extra drop sets or extra reps or go high rep, low weight, whatever it is, we kind of find a good balance in not only where we push ourselves and challenge ourselves, but keep ourselves progressing. So when people ask me like, what's your workout split like? I'm like, it depends what day, depends how I'm feeling. Cause we cater to what we feel that we need that day. And I like it because it always keeps me guessing. And it keeps it fun, we don't make it where working out is a job, but we keep it where it's fun and it's a therapy session. But at the same time, when we're in there, we're working. I mean, we're busting ass, we're chasing each other down because I want him to do better and he wants me to do better. So it kind of gets competitive. Like he does 5 extra reps, I'm gonna get 2 just to make him mad, just so he pushes a little harder. So it gets wild, but it gets fun. So, I mean,
what's the bodybuilding community like there in Jacksonville, Florida?
I think you can ask anybody here, as big as Jacksonville is as a city, it's small as a community. You can mention a name and someone, like you go to any gym, mention a name and someone be like, I know them, or oh, I'm related to them. So it's small and tight. Everyone tries to help each other as best as they can, but at the same time, it gets competitive. I mean, almost everybody's on the same level here, so everyone's like wants to do good, but everyone wants to do a little bit better. So it's competitive, as in when you see each other in the gym, you check them out, you're like, all right, so and so's looking pretty good today. I'm gonna have to bust my ass a little harder. So it's competitive, but out of respect to just trying to enhance everybody to where we're all on the same plateau. Because it's small here, just because Jacksonville is more of a Navy town. We have 2 Navy bases here, so it's kind of spread out to what kind of all the different life you get around here. So I think once people find that bodybuilding community, they hold on to it tight. Because I mean, you meet bodybuilders, everyone's all the same. The meal prep, just hanging out and just trying to explore the city. So with all the new people that come in, it's always growing. And with that being said, it's always kind of changing, adapting, and fun. But it gets competitive out here, man. I mean, people like to test your patience out here and just trying to poke the bear. But if they ain't talking about you, you ain't doing something right.
Right, right. Is Dexter Jackson still in that area, or does he live out in California, or has he moved out of that area?
Uh from what I've recently seen, he's still here. He goes to some of the gyms. I'm not sure which one exactly he goes to. But some of my friends will text me, "Hey, I saw Dexter today." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. That's cool. You know, local celebrity." But I think we need a couple more Jacksonville Olympians out here. So I mean, I think we got a couple coming up soon.
Yeah. I think you guys need a better football team too. What do you think, Jon?
I mean, I don't watch football that much, but Jaguar, hey, they're consistent. They show up to play. They show up to play. You know?
I think they're on the right track, but it's been a while since they've had a decent team, I think, right?
Hey, our fans are loyal. That's all I can say. We got some good people that show up, win or lost, mostly lost, but they'll talk.
There you go. There you go. Okay, now, how long of a prep did you do for North Americans this year, and how did that compare to previous preps? Just talk about the prep a little bit and what this experience was like doing the first one with Alex.
So it was about 16 to 18 weeks from when we signed up, we started actually getting things geared up, and we had a good rhythm together. We pulled the trigger then, and honestly, it was one of the best preps I've ever had. There are times where I'll be texting my friends who are doing the same show, and they're like, "Dude, I'm suffering. I'm tired. It's one of those days." And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm not hungry. I feel pretty good. Yeah, I'm a little tired and sore, but it didn't really feel like an average prep. Because I mean, I remember back in the old days, people would say, if you're not suffering, you're not pushing hard enough, you're not working hard enough. And I'm like, I'm doing everything I'm told. We're working. I'm looking good. And just the whole aspect of just taking things slow, resting your body, feeding into a show rather than trying to shrink into a show was the biggest factor. Coming into a light heavyweight showed that like I had a lot of space to grow. So we just kind of kept myself fed, kept myself full, and we were focused on conditioning overall. And that's the biggest thing, man. It was every day we checked in with each other. That's when things went from a coach athlete aspect to a real friend relationship, because we were texting every day, just checking how each other's doing, what's our mental aspect of how we want to train, and just kind of keeping each other in check. And I was learning a lot of communicational skills through him too, just kind of saying, "Hey, this is how I feel today, feeling a little funny, or I don't feel like I'm full all the way." And this every day was a changing factor, just because we wanted to keep the pulse on every little detail possible. So that way, at the end of the prep, we had every amount of data possible, from day 1 to day 15, day 30 to the last week. We can see every little pulse of change. That way, after that, we can better curate a better prep for us. And man, I remember being in Pittsburgh. It was 2 nights before, and I'm on the couch with my girlfriend at the time. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Babe, I got a show in 2 days." She goes, "Yeah, how do you feel?" I'm like, "I'm relaxed. I'm happy. I'm not stressing. It doesn't even feel like I'm getting ready for a show, just because my years prior, it was always stressing out, trying to make weight last minute, trying to cut, trying to do all kinds of things. It was always running around. But this time, just feeding into a show, just let my body breathe and work with what we had, was a better aspect. It was not only less stressful for my overall health, but my mental health as well. And that's one thing we're big on, just making sure your mental health is always in check. Because like they say, where the mind goes, the body follows.
Now, when you say feeding into a show, specifically with you and Alex, what does that kind of look like, Jon?
Man, I'd say we were probably eating twice the amount of food that I was the year prior. And we take it slow. We found the foods that best reacted to my body versus what might bloat me or just kind of might make me overspill. And we just kind of took it hour by hour by hour, just kind of tediously felt what was needed was best, just to keep me not overspilling, but just enough to stay full. And leading up to the show, we did mock carb ups. We got lean enough, did that, just kind of test the waters. And that's one thing I really found out to be a difference with Alex is we tried every method along the way without stressing the body, just to see what little changes we'd get. And just kind of do like a trial and error type of deal. We found the ultimate plan that worked the best for us. And we found out that just if we kept throwing food at me, I just kept growing and growing, just holding it well. But it depended on what the food was. And once we found those little tools and secrets that kind of kept me full and kind of helped me, we just drilled it in. And that's one thing I like. It was just a whole process of elimination of what we could have been to what we know what is. And that's what I like, is just Alex is always thinking about the next thing. I'm trying to think too. So when we get our minds together, it's just magic as we made at North Americans.
Right. Okay. Now, what was your takeaway? Did you guys talk to any of the judges? Like, what's the area of your physique going forward that you really are focusing on, or body parts that you're trying to bring up?
From the judges I spoke to, all they really said was more upper traps and more adductors, just thicker adductors and thicker upper back. And I'm like, if that's it, I can live with that. I can live with that. At least it's not like, oh, bring up the legs or bring up something else. It's just add a little bit more size and come back. And I get it. I tell you, when they called me out for that third place, I didn't even expect it. When I made that first call out, I didn't even expect it, because just seeing that lineup of dudes, I was like, yo, these are some big boys back here. And I'm always the clown backstage. I'm always hyping everybody up, talking, jumping around, laughing, just because we bust our ass for so long. We want to have, you got to remember, have some fun with it. I mean, we're all here together, we're all suffering, but we all did it. So, I mean, we made it to the end, just enjoy it now. So I'm meeting and greeting, talking, but at the same time, that last little 5 minutes before stage, game the blinders on, I'm doing my pump up and getting ready for it. So just getting that third place was a huge difference, man. Just to see that the judges only had to say just legs and upper back, easy.
Right. Did you have a chance to see the overall winner, Felix, at any point? What'd you think of his physique?
The dude came and shut the show down. He came, did what he did to do. I applaud him and to get my respects. I was like, all right, maybe I'll see you one day. That's what I like to tell everybody. Maybe I'll see you one day, because we never know. I like to be competitive, but keep it fun. Just wish I was on that overall stage. I mean, it was bittersweet, but at the same time, for what we did, for what we had, I couldn't be happier. It's just kept me motivated for what we have coming up now. So,
yeah. So what's your guys' game plan going forward? I'm assuming you are wanting to step back on the North American stage next year, because you said that's where you'd like to turn pro. Are you guys going to do any competitions before then? Talk about kind of what the future holds for you, Jon.
As of right now, we're getting ready to do like a lean growth or a bulk phase, kind of just add more size to work on those little weak areas and just kind of get myself more balanced out. Because my weight cap was 197 for light heavy, and on stage we came at 190, 191. Plenty of room to grow. So at this point, we're not really too worried about weight. Keeping things clean, just keeping me fed, and just kind of push the envelope every week to see what we can allow. And I think we got a show in July, a national show. I don't remember the names. I think it's like Junior USA's or something like that. I can't remember specifically, but we're looking at that one just kind of as a warm-up show, just kind of get my body get ready for prep. I was joking with Alex. I was like, Alex, before we do nationals again and get that pro card, all I ask is we do one show where I get like a sword or a shield or a helmet, because I got a lot of hardware of just medals and like the statue dudes, but come on, man, I want to get a sword or something cool, man. All these shows in Florida and they have cool trophies. I mean, not to say not the ones I have aren't cool, but I want to be like Antoine Vaillant on stage with the sword, do the whole Conan and everything. So, but after we joked about that, he's like, all right, we'll get that out of the way, but we know where we want to go pro. And I'm like, yes, sir.
Okay.
Come back.
So, how far is your mindset in terms of where you want to take bodybuilding? I mean, are you somebody that wants to, obviously you want to turn pro and then you want to be on the Olympia stage? Like, what's your mindset in terms of being a future competitive bodybuilder as an IFBB pro?
I'm going to take this to the limit. I ultimately, if I can just make it to the Olympia stage as a competitor, I would be absolutely happy. That's where I can say, hey, I made it to the Olympia stage. I'm a certified Olympian. Cool. Even if it's last place, I could still say I made it to the Olympia stage. But we all know we all want to win Mr. Olympia. Realistically, do I see myself? It's a long shot, but hey, anything could happen. There's been a lot of upsets in the World Cup that we've seen. But I always push myself. And with Alex, he's always giving me the reassurance of push harder, be great, push harder. And he's not one to be shy to call me out if I'm messing up. So if it's good news, I'm doing something right. And if he's happy, I'm happy. With that being said, I'd like to kind of expand myself, just kind of be part of the community. I'm starting a YouTube page here pretty soon. Just going to be talking about just day in the life of like what the average person might struggle with, the mentality, just the wear and tear of just social relationships, just kind of not being so much of in the gym, but life outside of the gym, just the day-to-day stuff. Just trying to make things more relatable to everybody, quick Q&As and stuff like that. So I got that going. And then ultimately, I would love to work as a posing coach. As I said previously, that's my favorite thing to do. I always post videos. I always try to learn and just kind of show the body more. Obviously, Terrence Ruffin being one of my idols for it, and meeting him and talking to him and picking his brain some kind of reassures me that I'm on a good self path, my own style, my own kind of critique, my own flow to things. So it's just kind of taking time to harness it, understand it more, and just being able to translate it to other people. And I have fun doing that, just kind of teaching people how to be comfortable on stage, because I'd like to explain that's the most addicting part. Once you're up there and that light hits you and you're posing, man, it's a party. It's a party. So I try to stay connected in every way, just kind of joining different gyms, hanging out. Bodybuilding has brought so much peace and love in my life that I'm so blessed and grateful for, that if I can give it back to anybody, any way, how, count me in. I'll be there.
Cool, man. Now we're gonna start wrapping it up, but before we do, let's you mentioned mental health a little bit earlier. So have there been some times in your life, Jon, where your mental health hasn't maybe been where it needed to be? If so, talk about that, and how have you been able to keep your mental health in a positive state, so to speak?
There's been plenty of times, be it from stress from work, school, everyday life of just trying to deal with relationships, or just bodybuilding. We all face it. And the biggest avenue I could say that helped me out the most was communicating. And that was a hard part for me, just being able to feel comfortable not only with myself, but with the people around me, to have that full understanding. Hey, they are here for me. They are here to help. They're not just saying that. And so once I got over the obstacle and just be able to communicate and make that relation with people, it brought me more peace, because it made the problems I felt like in my head that were crazy seem minuscule. Because once I hear them out loud, I'm like, I'm just stressing because I'm an overthinker. So, and there's been times where I felt like I almost gave up bodybuilding just because I didn't think I was cut out for it, just because I didn't feel I was pushing hard enough in prep, or that I wasn't responding well, or that I had the occasional person that come in and say, hey, you're not going to make it. And it was hard. There was a lot of dark times, where, especially 3 a.m. cardio sessions, where I'm just trying to figure life out. Like, what am I going to do? Am I cut out for this? Am I going to make this big leap and fully commit myself? Or am I just going to do this part-time and just fade away? And it really brought a lot of light when a friend recently helped sit me down and just talk. And just every day we work together, just talk, just talk, just talk. And it helped not only my relationship with myself, but my parents, my best friends, my coach, to that it's okay to talk. It's okay to express your feelings. And it's not only do you help yourself, but you help the person you're talking to. Because if they understand what you're going through, they're like, hey, it's not me. This Jon's going through the same thing. So we can just kind of put our guards down and just talk about whatever. And as that went on, I kind of started picking up the habit of just checking in with my friends. Hey, what's going on today? Hey, you good? Hey, what's up? I haven't seen you. Just because I always felt like when that one person or whoever it was checked in on me, hey, how are you doing today? Just asking how I'm doing brought me peace, because I can talk, because I can communicate, just let out whatever it is. Even if I thought it was crazy or just a run of the mill, whatever it is, it really brought me back to my center peace, just because I understood that the support system I had around me was really a support system. And we all say we have a good team, we're all strong together, but it really counts to the days when you're just not feeling it, that you don't know if you want to go to the gym, if you can make it to the gym, and they pull up, come into your place, drag you out, get you in the car and take you to the gym and force you to work out. And I've been fortunate to have people like that in my life to really look out for me. And as much as that helped me with the whole mental aspect of just being okay with who you are and what you're capable of, you're not perfect, but you're going to work your way to it, allowed me to give back to everyone else. So that's why I always try to be friendly and just try to be run of the mill happy with everybody, because you don't know what a smile can do for somebody, or even a hug or a what's up. So if I can change just what I've learned out of that, I try to transmit it back out. So, I mean, it's a huge thing for me, just because I've been like, I felt like where I would just almost call it quits with everything. And I'm glad I'm here and had the people I had and just kind of keep myself in check. So I could talk on for hours. So that's like, I think the bad side about it is just I'm a blabbermouth now. So
You're good. You're good. Do you read books much or not really?
Occasionally. The last one I read was Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. Thanks to my mom on that one, because I the last one I read of that was Championship Bodybuilding by Chris Aceto. My mom was like, how about you kind of change your scenery a little bit? You know, you're always in the gym. You don't have to read books about it now. I'm like, I'm trying to learn. But Think Like a Monk, man. It took me a little bit to get into it first, because it's not what I was used to. But again, just the whole aspect of just breathing, learning about not only your needs, but other people's needs, and just the whole mental health about everything, just being able to connect with everyone around you. We're all together, and just kind of bringing peace to yourself. And that even though life is every day, go, 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 there's moments where you just got to stop and smell the roses. And building that mental fortitude brought me more confidence, more comfortability, more peace in my life, to where I feel like I'm the strongest ever, where I feel like I'm the most healthiest ever, just because not only my body in check, but my mind as well. And that goes across the whole board with all my relationships. It's just keeping yourself in check and just breathing.
What do you like to do when you're not working on pools or working out in a gym? What do you like to do for fun? What's kind of like some of your hobbies, Jon, if you have any?
I like to travel. And I'm kind of working on like some video editing stuff. My best friend Nico, he does most of my photography, Lockjaw Media. And that's how we became best friends, was through that. So if we have the chance on the weekends, we'll go to a local bodybuilding show or go out of town, be it Tampa or Orlando, wherever it is, and we'll go see the show and just hang out. So we just kind of like putting ourselves in the wild and just seeing where things are taking us. We're going to be in Olympia. We're flying out Wednesday. So us two in Vegas, I mean, mom, like, go to jail and just come back alive. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can promise one of them.
Yeah.
But besides that, I love cooking, just reading, and just kind of I try to make a point where I do things outside of the gym. So that way I'm not so burnt out or consistently find myself in a conversation with people, just talk about, oh yeah, this is my split, or focus on the body this way. You know, I try to be well-rounded and have some more depth to me. Try to have a personality. You know, I love to just be in different situations. I haven't had a chance to travel much, but just the architecture, just history and stuff like that, I love learning about. Because once you understand where you come from in your past, you can learn how to better your future, just because patterns always show themselves. So that's one thing I like to do, just kind of keep my mind at work of just either learning something, try to get better at something, or just seeing what the world has to offer.
What bodybuilder are you most looking forward to kind of seeing, since you guys are going to be there in the flesh in Vegas for the Olympia? Is there somebody that you'd like to kind of meet, or you're just excited to kind of see them maybe on stage? What do you got for there?
Man, if I can meet any of them, that would be sick. Just meet at the top in the world. Yeah. But I would like to see Samson Dowda in person. I saw him in the Orlando show, the Ubi Expo or something like that. He was massive, and I was probably like 20 feet away because of the line. But I was like, yo, if I could see him, if I could see the Hostile guys from all their broadcasts, they're all fun. I love watching them. Man, the Animal guys, of course, if they're out there. But ultimately, we just kind of plan to I hope just meet as many people as I can. To be specific would be hard because that list would be, again, everybody. But I hope to go to Dragon Lair Gym, kind of work out there and just kind of beat bop around and see what happens. I'm just there for the experience. So it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time.
Well, I know, they have like, I don't know what day it is. You'll have to kind of look at the itinerary, but they have like Meet the Olympians. So like, I think it's usually, I went to the Olympia back in 2008. So it was like on Friday night, they have all the Olympians, kind of like in a room and stuff, and you can go in and stand in their line and meet all the guys that are actually competing. So that might be something you guys would enjoy, just to be able to meet most of the top guys, so you have to look into that.
Absolutely. We're there. While we're there, we have some work to do, bodybuilding work. So we're fortunate enough to kind of get that going for us. So the opportunity we have, it's got some good content coming out. So again, once I drop that YouTube, take a look at it and see where I pick up and more about myself.
Yeah, cool. All right, Jon, we're going to wrap it up right there, man. Before I do a quick outro and I let you go, if you have any final thoughts, any final words, I'm going to turn it over to you. Give us your Instagram. If you know Alex's Instagram, why don't you give us his Instagram as well? And any shout outs, anything you want to leave with us, platform's yours, my man. And then I'll do a quick outro. So go for it.
First of all, thank you for having me on. It was a great time. A pleasure to do it again. I just want to give a shout out to my coach, Alex, mom and dad, the family, my boy, Nico, Biggie. You guys always have my back. Man, I can go on a list for quick shout outs about all the boys, the dog pound, my Instagram is Iron Temple 93. Alex page, you can go through the team page, Affinity Fitness, that's with the A, Affinity Fitness. You can see what we're about, what we bring to the table. Again, I'm dropping my YouTube pretty soon. It's going to be under the same name, Iron Temple. And we got some big things going on. So I just want to say thank you for the time and opportunity, and maybe we could do it again in the future, but be an IFBB Pro the next time.
There we go, man. We'll definitely get you on before North Americans next year. And then hopefully a week later, we'll get you back on and introduce you as an IFBB Pro. Now, what's your friend's, you said your friend kind of has like, does content or something. What's the name of his business?
Lockjaw Media.
Okay. And is that on Instagram?
Yep. Lockjaw Media. You look it up. He covers anything from photos, video, reels, anything gym related. He can knock it out. So, I mean, I recommend taking a look. The kid's about it. He wouldn't be my best friend if I didn't vouch for him. So love him.
All right. Alex, that's your coach. Jon, I just want to say thank you so much, man, for coming on. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Speaking of which, now I got to go train with Alex. So I'm going to tell him how we did.
There we go. You make sure you tell him hi for me. He's the one that kind of told me to reach out to you. So tell him thank you very much for me. All right.
Will do. I appreciate it. You have a safe day.
All right. All of you who are tuning into this episode of Behind the Muscle podcast, I just want to say thank you so very much. I appreciate all of you. I value all of you. As I always say, and as I will continue to say, if it weren't for all of you, the podcast simply would not exist. So thank you guys so much for your continued support. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button in regards to BTM on YouTube. Also, take this episode with Jon, share it on your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag Jon. Go ahead and tag his coach, Alex Pomeroy. And then also make sure you tag Behind the Muscle podcast. That's just a great way for more people to find BTM. They're going to listen to these episodes, and they're going to be positively impacted by the coaches and athlete stories that are being shared on the podcast. And then finally, I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.